Kim, why would
Yes.
somebody not refinance right now?
I can't think of a reason for somebody to not refinance right now. I've been thinking about it because we've been reaching out to clients and some are like, but I hear rates are going to keep coming down. And well, I think that's the importance of our conversation today, right? Like, there's no reason to wait. I think it's very much exactly like what we've been saying all of this time about marry the house and date the rate. Well, now it's time to break up with the rate and go start dating the new rate instead of waiting for a better rate to come around, right? Because just like people who were waiting for house prices to come down, look how that's worked out.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I think the conversation we really want to have today with our followers is if you're thinking of refinancing, we want to give you some really valuable input to help you make that decision. But simply put, if you can save money, you save the money. You don't wait. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm thinking about the bird in the hand situation, right? And where the market is headed. We're in a recession already, and at the beginning of where they're going to call it a recession, but all the indicators are that we're already in a recession.
Hmm.
Unemployment already hit 4.3. There's so many factors. All the experts are already saying we have been in a recession, but we haven't had the Feds announce it yet.
Hmm.
And so, what can happen in a situation where a borrower maybe has the ability to refinance now, but in a recessionary market, when there's so many cutbacks, like employment cutbacks, right? Hours are being cut back. They maybe have the possibility of qualifying right now to lower and improve their current situation. But in the future, they may not be able to qualify because their hours have been cut, for example. And
And exactly, yeah, you make such a valid point because that's exactly what we've been experiencing with some of our clients, right? During the last, 14 months that everybody's really been dealing with this crazy, crazy ass inflation, people have been leaning on their credit card debt, right? Like you and I have had the experience just this week of three borrowers who are thrilled that the rate came down and they don't qualify.
it's too
They
late for
just
them.
don't qualify. Yeah, it's too late for them. And they also thought about when rates were a little bit higher, paying off that credit card debt, right? And they said, no, we're going to choose to wait. And you're exactly right. It very much goes to take what you can get when you can get it. And something I want to point out is I understand that everything has a cost attached to it, and none of us want to pay more, and we all want to save money. But the beautiful thing about our home, like it's our house, the equity in our house, it's not like going to the bank and taking check out of your checking account. Yeah, you're still hitting your equity, it's your asset, but it's not liquid. So you're not going to have any direct impact from accessing that equity to pay other higher rate debt. Or if you're not paying debt off like high credit card rates or high car payment rates, and you're just lowering your monthly payment, if you do nothing, your payment stays the same, right? Like if you do nothing, your payment stays the same. So you already know what's going to happen. But if you can save $250 a month, that night might not be earth shattering to you. But JR, what could you do with 250 a month that could make this not just saving 250 a month, but like saving hundreds of thousands of dollars at the end of the loan?
Well, you can apply, just continue to make the same payment you're making now. But you remember, you can apply the additional $250 to the new loan, the principal reduction every month, and accelerate the payoff completely.
Exactly. So just right there what JR said. You can save $250 a month and you're like, nah, that $250 just doesn't make a difference for me. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait to see if the rates get lower. In fact, I know they're going to get lower. Well, first of all, none of us know anything with respect to that. A year ago, 18 months ago, all of the economic news was they're going to be better in the spring, then they're going to be better in the summer, then they're going to be better in the fall, then they're going to be better in the spring, then they're going to be better in the summer, then they're going to be better in the fall. Now we're almost at the end of summer of 2024, and we're seeing an improvement, a slightly better improvement than we saw in February of this year. But what happened in March? They went right back up. Like we live in crazy ass times, right? Like we live in crazy times. And so if you can take the savings and you don't need the savings, then utilize the savings to pay your principal down because you're not doing it right now, right? So if you just want to say, I want to throw, how can I throw an extra $250 a month to my principal? Well, then refinance, right? Like refinance. And most people don't know that you have to meet a minimum savings to even qualify for a refinance. So it's not like you can refi to lower your payment $50 a month, right? Like there's a standard for qualifying. And so the bank has set that threshold for you to make sure you're protected as consumers.
It's
But
called the
if you,
net tangible benefit. So you have
there
to
you
get a certain
go.
net tangible benefit to the borrower.
That exactly. So it's not like we can just refinance, nor do we want to refinance anybody. But it is a little bit frustrating when you're the financial advisor for someone and they choose to walk away from the savings in a I'm going to take my chances conversation. 10 years ago, that strategy might have worked, but today, when there was somebody running for president 3 weeks ago, that's no longer running today, right? Today, when they're saying tomorrow there could be a war breaking out in the Middle East, today, when the rates improved over the last 3 days, and now you've seen them like tick up a little bit just in the last 48 hours. The lack of stability in our world today, I don't feel comfortable being like, yeah, I'm going to play the market. Like,
Yeah,
I don't feel
no,
comfortable
no.
with that. And so I think the opportunity is they're lower right now, right? They're lower right now. The time to look is right now. This is not the time to choose to decide that you're the better analyst than economists out there. If you can save the money, you save the money. I mean, that's really how I see it. But what other benefits other than just saving the money, like how JR share like some other benefits that like set them up powerfully also for their future inside of refinancing.
Right. So there's a cost of waiting that which I'm going to get into the benefit, but it kind of ties it in together, right? When we're having
Mm-hmm.
this conversation, economists were saying in the last quarter of 2022, we should have been in this market then. This is what they were anticipating then. And look, it's almost 2 years later. We're barely getting to that point. So waiting and thinking, oh, I'm going to wait 6 months. Maybe 6 months can turn into another 2 years. That's the added savings you're missing out on. The other one is cash out refinances where you can pay off all your debt. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you can strategize because a couple of reasons. Like Kim mentioned, those three clients that came to us, they were waiting and waiting and waiting. They got our database marketing. They said, "I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait." What happened is that they kept running their credit cards up so much, and it's a catch-22 because their FICO score dropped below 600. They're like in the mid to low 500s because they're very debt heavy. Now, in order to refinance and pay their debt off, they have to have the sufficient FICO score to qualify. But how do you get their FICO score up? By paying their debt off. But you can't close the refinance with that FICO score, and they have no money in the bank to do a rapid rescore and increase their FICO score. So they're kind of stuck there, right? They can't utilize their equity anymore. That was waiting a little bit too late. Now,
Yeah,
what if, for example, if you're in that situation where you're completely debt heavy and you still have a salvageable FICO score before it gets any worse, is refinancing and paying off all your debt, waiting, and when you pay off all your debt, your FICO score will jump back up and get strong, right? And then
exactly.
as the market moves, and if it does improve a lot anymore, then you refinance into a rate in term and utilize that FICO score to really take advantage of that extraordinary rate in the future.
Exactly. And let's talk about refinancing more than once. A lot of people say, well, it's going to cost me again. It could. It could. But do you know how expensive it is when your FICO score is low? It's 10 times more expensive than what a second refinance is going to cost you because it's more expensive in fees, it's more expensive in rate, right? And those are the two things that are going to determine your final interest rate on your refinance. So not trying to time the market, and I think also being really real with yourself, right? Like consulting. Let's have a consultation about running the numbers. My favorite saying, if you know me, is numbers don't lie. And they don't. That's the beautiful thing. Numbers tell the truth. They tell the truth about your situation, about where you're at now, and about where you can go. And just like we create strategies for first time buyers, we also create strategies with our clients in counseling them on how to utilize a refinance, how to create a refinance powerfully, how to use skipping payments, right? To not increase your balance. Like there's a tons of strategies where our clients refinance, they're successful, they lower their payment, they pay off their debt, or if they don't pay off their debt, they just do a straight refinance and they if they increase their loan balance, it's ever so slightly. And I find it interesting that people get hung up in rolling costs into their refinance, but they're so less hung up on paying 29% on a credit card. You know what I mean? And it's like, and maybe because a $4,000 credit card at a 29% interest rate or a $7,000 credit card at 21% interest rate, like you don't see it as daunting, but think about a mortgage of 600,000 at 29% interest rate, right? Like that would freak you out. Well, a credit card's no different. Just the fact that your balance is lower, your balance is lower, but 29% or 22%, those are real rates. You're really paying that money. And so we find ourselves in a very unique position right now with the opportunity to refinance many, many clients. And I think do yourself a disservice if you just say, I'm going to wait and not really look at the whole thing of how you could utilize this best to your benefit and take action right now. Because I still go back to the people who waited for prices to drop on houses. Yeah,
Still
like it
waiting, huh?
hasn't happened,
Mhm.
right? It hasn't happened. And so I don't think interest rates are any different. And conversely, right, if you're somebody who can see yourself moving up in the future, you'd like the opportunity to cash in and out of all of this equity, thinking you'll buy that house next year, and you're like, I really don't want to refinance right now because I'm planning on moving in a year. Refinancing, lowering your debt, paying more balance down right now only creates more equity for you. It only creates more equity for you. Improving your FICO score just makes you a better buyer when you sell your house to go buy the next house. So I think that there's many reasons that we can argue effectively for at least looking at it right now before you decide how you think the market, because that's what I'm hearing a lot. Oh, it's a presidential year. Oh, this is going to happen. Oh, that's going to happen. If I had a nickel, we wouldn't have to be doing loans for a living,
And
right?
Kim, based on the conversation like you were just sharing as well with one of our very account executives, for example, I
Uh-huh.
remember when the feds were increasing rates back in 2022, 2023, right? And they'd say, we just increased the rate a quarter or three quarters of a percent, whatever they were doing. And that particular day, when they spoke, we looked at the market, and on the loan side of the market, there was no movement whatsoever.
Mhm.
Why? Because banks had already padded that, they had already priced that increase in. And so what we're seeing
Right.
now, the reason the rates are lower right now, and guess what? You have the feds haven't lowered the rate yet, right?
Mhm.
But they're already padded that rate because they're already anticipating that the rates are going to come down. They're going to lower the rate, and so they're trying to capitalize on all that.
Absolutely. They've already priced the savings in the market. The market is already priced for what everybody anticipates to happen in September. It's
So,
already priced in the market.
so how much lower do you think the rates are going to really come down? 3%, 2.75%?
No, there's no way. Not only is there no way, but a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I think we're going to be in the fours." No, I don't think so.
I
And
don't
if
think
you're
so.
waiting for September or October to happen, you really have to understand a lot about the economy to see why that is not at all realistic. Like not at all realistic. And so if you can take the savings right now to step over that savings for a possible, this is what I think, well, I personally think that's highly risky. I think you take what you can get as soon as you
Okay.
can get it, if it makes financial sense and if it improves your situation. To bank in this day and age, in this world, on being certain that something is going to happen, I think that's the bigger risk, much higher risk than actually pulling the trigger on savings you can enjoy today. And if you can't enjoy the savings today because your credit score is not where you needed to be, then let's have that conversation about what can you do intentionally, like the minimum that's needed to get that score up. Because there's nothing worse than seeing television commercials at rates so far below something you can touch. Like that's painful, right? That's really painful. Wanting to do something and not being able to do something. So it's important to create strategies in those situations as well, because if you can't do something right now, we need to approach that from it's not a forever conversation from you. It's a consultation saying, okay, what can we do in the next 60 days to enjoy this savings? And the savings, if it's significant enough, I promise you, you'll do what's needed to make that happen because nobody wants to pay more if they don't have to.
And if it's significant enough in the future that possibility exists, it'll make sense to do it again and again,
Exactly.
right?
And I just thought of this off the top of my head. If you have a 401k, pull the money out of your friggin' 401k that lost like half of its value yesterday and pay off your friggin' credit card debt because your credit card debt at 21% is a hell of a lot higher than your 401k and the 5.45% it's making. Right? Like your 401k has not outperformed real estate, not in Southern California,
It
like
will.
not at all, right? And most of you are sitting on more equity than you have ever sat on in your life. If you've got a 401k, use it. Use it, pay off the credit card debt, refinance the house, lower your payment, and be smart about your money rather than the statement that you get every month. Because when everybody gets their 401k statement at the end of August, I think there's going to be a lot of sad people, right? Like I wasn't happy what my 401k did yesterday. And so when you look at that in terms of real estate versus 401k and how to utilize it, there's a lot of strategies, right, where you can help yourself with what you already have. The opportunity is to work with a team who's going to show you that.
And all it is a
That's it.
conversation. And so find out, like, in other words, it's more than just a refinance. It's also a strategy and how to utilize that savings to your advantage for future use, right? That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And JR, share real quick because I love this story. Like, well, the loan we just funded. How much money a month are they saving?
God, it
Um,
was like over $4,000 a month. It's actually on our Instagram page. You see it, $4,000 a month, and so they paid off over. God, they were dead heavy about $200,000, but they had
And
the
these
equity.
people were with somebody else when they were referred to as somebody else who couldn't cross the finish line for them, couldn't get it done, had higher pricing. So there's value to working with an experienced team. And this is definitely my sales pitch for this team. We are committed to our clients' well-being and benefit, period. That's what this post is about. So if this isn't you and you know somebody who's in this situation, please share this post with them because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And there's a lot of people guessing about what they think they should or shouldn't do. Have a consultation with a qualified team who's been doing this for over 40 years. It's not an accident. We've been in business as long as we've been in, and we are out and committed to our clients. And we are happy to send you referrals or look on our page. You'll see them.
Exactly. So the way you can forward a copy of your mortgage statement to us. You can reach out to us initially, but if you want to just forward a copy of your mortgage statement so we can take a look at it, kimandjr@kimandjr.com is the email address. You can also email us there or DM us if you want us to forward you a link to a real scenario like that where we actually broke it down in detail and you can see how powerful a mortgage instrument can possibly be. It's more than liability. A house is an asset, right? And we can
Absolutely.
also connect you to that post so you can see that real life scenario there and see if that's something, a possibility that can work for you or how that can really change your life.
Exactly. Because if you're sitting on the equity, what do we always say if you don't use it, JR?
It's dead equity. It's doing nothing
It's
for you.
debt equity, right? So don't suffer. Don't suffer. There's just look at your house on how it can best assist you, how it's smart and effective to utilize your equity to improve your life situation. And if you're not in this situation and all you want to do is lower your rate, then our advice is take the savings when you can take the savings.
Absolutely, Kim. So thank you guys for tuning in here. And remember, Kim and JR at kimandjr.com is where you can connect with us and at the Kim and JR on social media.
And that's why we say we are your solution-based lenders. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.